All right? You know what it is. You know what it is. Unique Mecca Audio. We in the house. We in the house. We in the house. We in the house. You know, I got to change hats. This ain't working with the green screen. We're going to change the hats real quick because we that fly over here at Unique Mecca Audio. Just so you know. All right. We're going to throw on a different joint. See how y'all like this. It still match the glasses. So we still in. Tap in. Tap in. You know? All right. Tap in. Where you at? Give me an emoji. Let me know y'all in. All right, give me, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. Show some love. All right. Code Red, what up, family? All right. The one and only. This one here is going to be about Young Thug co-defendant Qua-Qua, Nicholas Nichols. You know, he took a guilty plea during the trial. This is a serious time because when you look at this, is when you're really going to see, you know, how this affects the trial and how this affects Young Thug and the other people that's on trial with him, right? Because normally, right, let's ride. See, I'm gonna go right into this, y'all coming in, so you could always play it back later, but I ain't gonna slow down the show with a whole bunch of talking and jibber jabbering. We're gonna get right to the point. Now, right? You get them to go up there and they plead guilty. And normally when somebody plead guilty to a conspiracy, that's saying that you agree that the conspiracy existed. Because if you say that I'm guilty of the conspiracy, then you got to say I'm guilty of, you know, what conspiracy? Of doing what in the conspiracy? And you're going to see all this play out as, you know, Qua-Qua takes his plea. I want y'all to see how the pleas are played out so that you know what time it is. You know, you have to see this and you have to understand this because you have to take full responsibility for what you have done when you're pleading guilty. So his lawyer's gonna argue and stipulate the fact that they're not saying that YSL is a gang and they're not saying that Qua-Qua participated in a gang or any gang. Now that's gangster. That's what I call riding out, busting shots. You know what I mean? He rode out from the trial. You understand what I'm saying? But his lawyer's going to emphasize that, yo, what my client is doing is what my client is saying he did. That's what it is. Y'all got any questions, you put in the comments. Y'all in school right now. All right? Let's start this tape so we can get this thing moving. Y'all listen to them while the rest come in. But this is what the program going to be about. The phone number is in the description. Feel free to call if you got any questions. All right? Now.
Are you able to read, write, and understand the English language?
Yes.
Do you understand that in this indictment, you were initially charged with count 1, conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, which carries a sentence of 5 to 20 years. You were also charged with count 49 in this indictment, which is murder, which carries a sentence of life. You were charged with 2 counts of participation in criminal street gang activity, which was counts 50 and 51, which each carried a sentence of 5 to 20 years. You were initially charged with counts 53 and 65, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon under Code Section 16-11-133, which each carry a sentence of 15 years consecutive to count 1. And then you were also charged with count 54, which is possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, which carried a sentence of 5 years consecutive to count 1. Do you understand that is what you were initially charged with?
Yes.
Do you understand that you have the right to plead either guilty or not guilty to these charges? And if you plead not guilty or remain silent, you may receive a jury trial.
Yes.
Have you had an opportunity to go over and review the waiver of rights form with your attorney?
Yes.
And I'm going to hand this to your attorney. Did you sign this along with your attorney?
Yes.
Have you had enough time to speak with your attorney, Mr. Bruce Harvey, about all the facts and circumstances known to you regarding the charge in this indictment?
Yes.
Do you need any more time to discuss this man with your attorney?
No.
Are you satisfied with his counsel and representation?
Yes.
And I'd include in there the counsel and representation by Ms. Westmoreland and Mr. Garland as well. You had a team of attorneys.
That's correct.
All right.
And they are all attorneys of record and have participated in this particular proceeding and negotiations leading up to this proceeding.
Thank you.
Do you waive formal reading of the indictment?
Yes.
Do you waive any and all defects with respect to the indictment?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, have you been arrested on all the charges in this indictment?
Yes.
And Mr. Harvey, the state is unaware of any outstanding warrants related to these charges. Do you know of any outstanding warrants that are related to these charges?
Not related to those charges.
Have you been advised of the minimum and maximum sentence for each charge that you are pleading to?
Yes.
Do you understand this is a negotiated plea of guilty, which means that the state will recommend to the court as to count 1, conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, a sentence of 20 years to serve 7 years in custody, balanced on probation?
Yes.
Do you understand as a part of the negotiated agreement, the state will null, or dismiss count 49, which is the murder count, count 50, 51, which are the gang activity counts, count 53, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, count 54, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, and count 65, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon? Do you understand that is the negotiated agreement?
Yes.
Do you understand that the court does not have to accept that recommendation?
Yes.
And the court can sentence you to the maximum on each charge and can run those charges consecutively or one after the other?
Yes.
Well, there's only one charge that
So
a guilty plea is
I'd
being
risk-
entered into, so
Under my breath to that.
there's no other sentence to run anything consecutively with regard to this plea. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna break that down, right? The prosecutor tried to get slick, right? They agreed to dismiss certain charges, right? And like the murder charge and other charges. But she's reading the sentence that, oh, you could be, sentenced consecutively to this charge and this charge with that charge and that charge with this charge. And the judge had to remind her, stop the games, man. Gunshots for the games. This is what the judge is telling us. Stop it. Why is you sitting there lying to these people that, these other charges could fall after, fall in between, fall around, and I wish they'll text me something. How many people in here? Somebody put on the screen how many people in here, man, because I ain't got nobody help. How many people in the building? All right. Somebody said 973. Thanks for letting me know. I'm glad I got an assistant. Now, right, we sitting there, and she is trying to make it look like if the other charges still exist when they agreed to throw them out. So the judge stopped and said, no, it's only one. It's only one charge he's pleading guilty to, and that's the RICO. So the count 49, the count 62, the count Jugaloo, the count Boogaloo, the count who. Don't matter because they don't exist because you agreed to dismiss them. So stop the games, Mrs. Prosecutor. That's what the judge telling her. I had to break it down. That's what we do over here. We break it down in layman's terms. I ain't got no help on this joint. Word is bought. I wish I had some help, man. I'm looking for some moderators.
Sentencing on other convictions in this jurisdiction as well as in other jurisdictions, including the federal courts.
Yes.
Do you understand if you are currently on probation or parole, your probation or parole may be revoked based on your entering a guilty plea today?
Yes.
Do you understand if you're placed on probation of any kind, you cannot violate any criminal laws of any governmental unit or any special conditions of probation without being subject to revocation for the balance of your sentence?
Yes.
Do you understand you are not allowed to possess or use a firearm while on probation?
Yes.
Do you understand if you are not a United States citizen, a guilty plea conviction will affect your immigration status and will result in deportation, just like a conviction at a trial would? And that is true regardless of any advice by your attorney or anyone else?
Yes.
Do you understand that neither the court, your attorney, nor the district attorney's office has anything to do with parole, the Department of Corrections, or Board of Partisan Paroles, and no one can guarantee parole no matter what anyone has told you?
Yes.
Do you understand that there may be other adverse or unfavorable consequences as a result of this guilty plea conviction, just as there would be from a conviction following a trial? For example, your guilty plea may affect your right to vote, your right to hold public office, your right to serve on a jury, your right to obtain a passport, your right to receive, possess, or transport a firearm, or the ability to obtain employment.
Yes.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty to a felony, if you use, receive, possess, or transport a firearm, or use a firearm in a crime, you will be guilty of a felony, which may carry a sentence of 1 to 15 years in prison?
Yes.
Do you understand that you waive any and all defenses, including any mental health defenses, by entering a plea of guilty?
Yes.
Do you understand if you went to trial, you have the right to a trial by jury, the right to see, hear, and confront witnesses called to testify against you, and the right to testify to remain silent and not incriminate yourself?
Yes.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you are giving up the following rights? After each right, I'll ask you to say yes or no if you understand. The right to a trial by jury,
Yes.
the right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself,
Yes.
the right to confront witnesses against you,
Yes.
the right to assist with counsel hired by you or to court-appointed counsel if you cannot afford an attorney at the trial of your case,
Yes.
the right to the presumption of innocence,
Yes.
the right to testify on your own behalf and to present other evidence,
Yes.
the right to subpoena witnesses and compel the production of evidence,
Yes.
the right to have the charges against you proved beyond a reasonable doubt,
Yes.
the right to appeal if convicted of these charges after a trial.
Yes.
Has anyone forced, threatened, or promised you anything to get you to enter a guilty plea?
No.
Is it your decision to waive these rights and enter a guilty plea because you're in fact guilty?
Yes.
With respect to indictment 22 SC 183572, how do you plead to count 1, conspiracy to violate the Racketeer, Influence, and Corrupt Organizations Act?
Guilty.
Is this guilty plea freely and voluntarily given with a full knowledge of the charges against you?
Yes.
Do you understand that you have only a limited right to appeal this guilty plea conviction?
Yes.
Do you understand that you have 4 years from today's date to file a habeas corpus petition challenging the voluntariness of this plea?
Yes.
And that can challenge anything about the constitutionality of the plea. It's not limited to voluntariness, understand?
Yes.
All right, so hold up. That's important. That's important because I learned that later on in my bid. See, when you plead guilty back then during the crack era, like now it's a war on these millionaire entertainers, right? Don't matter if you're a rapper or a movie star. You know, it's a war on y'all. Let's just get that right. It was a war on us. When you start making money and being of this persuasion over here, they watch you. You start getting money and you start feeling equal. You start feeling comfortable with you. You know what I mean? You know, everything that's just how that is, right? Now, they're sitting here getting money and they're going after them. They tell them back then during the crack era that you couldn't plead guilty. Like if you pled guilty, you gave up all your rights to an appeal. So that means that if you pled guilty to 20 years and the law come out in 5 years, you're not entitled to it because you gave up your right to an appeal. That's what they was telling us direct during the crack era. So that's why I couldn't fathom anybody pleading guilty because man make laws are going to change, and you have to sit back and just wait for man to wake up and get on your time, make a law to fit you so you could get out of jail. That's how I did my 26 years of my life sentence. But I kept pushing and pushing. I tried to make new law. I tried to persuade the judge to do what I wanted him to do. And yeah, I'm getting your text, man. Damn, I'm getting a text. All right. So anyway, you know, they sitting there and they pushing it, right? And you can't take away someone's constitutional right to an appeal. You can't waive your constitutional right to an appeal. But they was violating our constitutional rights is what they was doing. And we knew no better. We were the guinea pigs, the first one on that. You understand what I'm saying? We knew better, you know? Dumb as a bag of rocks we were. We ain't know no damn better. So it's the same thing that's going on now. So the judge had to interject to put it on the record that he knows that, that she knows that he can't waive his constitutional right to an appeal. So if a new constitutional change come out, yes, he could go back for an appeal. That's the only way he could go back if there's a new constitutional, right. You know what I mean? So you understand. So that's why the judge interjected and said that, Now, let me finish playing this tape because I got clowns working with me right now. So I got to make the best of this. You know what I mean? That's why I do everything myself.
And Your Honor, if this case were to
Hang on
continue-
just a second. You also have, so 4 years for that, to file a direct appeal. You have 30 days from the date of sentencing, which is going to be today. And you have until the end of this term of court to file a motion seeking to withdraw your guilty plea. That doesn't mean anything like that would be granted. You would have to establish facts that would warrant that. But that's just the time period is until the end of this term of court. Do you understand those as well?
Yes.
All right.
Your Honor, if this case were to continue with trial, Your Honor, the state would expect, as to this defendant, the state would expect to show that what has already come into evidence, that on July 3rd, 2017, as well as October 23rd, 2018, that this defendant is an associate of the enterprise of YSL, also known as Young Slime Life, and that he conspired to associate together with others for the common purpose of illegally obtaining money and property through a pattern of racketeering activity and conducting and participating in the enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity. In furtherance of the conspiracy, this defendant engaged in activities below. He engaged in activities that assisted with preserving, protecting, and enhancing the reputation, power, and territory of the enterprise through acts of racketeering activity to include murder, assault, and threats of violence. That this defendant preserved, protect, and enhance the reputation, power, and territory of the enterprise by the posting of messages, images, appearance in videos, and songs demonstrating allegiance to the enterprise and a willingness to engage in violence on its behalf, and to obtain money, weapons, and other property through acts of racketeering activity, including the unlawful sale and distribution of drugs. Your Honor, evidence has come in during this trial that on July 3rd, 2017, Mr. Nichols was located at 2612 Steele Avenue, which is in the Cleveland Avenue sector of the city. Your Honor, he was found inside of a vehicle. When that vehicle was searched, Your Honor, and this was in October of 2018, they found marijuana as well as sandwich baggies that would be used to package drugs, and there are also guns found inside of that vehicle. Also in July of 2017, this defendant was stopped during a traffic stop in the Cascade area, Your Honor. After being stopped, Your Honor, there was a consensual search of the vehicle that yielded powder MDMA, Xanax, as well as a loaded gun inside of that vehicle. Additionally, Your Honor, in July of 2019, Mr. Nichols was featured in a video with another YSL member, Shannon Stillwell, and Woody Lee. In that video, it was entitled Slap Talk. And in that video, co-conspirator Shannon Stillwell, while performing, makes such quotes as, "Me and my slimes are above the law." We know from the evidence that slimes is one of the terminology used by members of YSL to refer to themselves or other members of this enterprise. And then last but certainly not least, Your Honor, that in March of 2022, Your Honor, Mr. Nichols was found in surveillance video at a gas station at Windsor Street and Fulton Street here in Atlanta, Georgia. This was on March 14, 2022, during what the state would believe to show an onset of a gang war that really started in 2015 with the death of Donovan Thomas, that carried on into 2022. In February of 2022, a rival gang member by the name of Rayshawn Bennett, also known as YFN Lucci, was stabbed at the Fulton County Jail in February of 2022. Information about that stabbing was made public at early part of March 2022, around March 3rd of 2022. Once that information was released to the public, there was an onset of retaliatory activity that occurred between March 3rd, 2022 and March 16th of 2022. That includes a March 11th homicide of YSL associates Christian McMiller and Darius Ford. It also did include a retaliatory shooting of a YFN associate and then ultimately it led to a murder of Shamel Drinks, who we believe is a YSL associate. This murder occurred again on March 14, 2022. Mr. Nichols is seen on surveillance video at that BP gas station, as I just referenced earlier. He was at the gas station with YSL co-conspirator Shannon Stillwell. Mr. Stillwell was driving an Audi vehicle. Mr. Nichols came to that gas station in a Ford Fusion vehicle. You see both of them on camera together. While they are at that gas station, Shamel Drinks approaches that gas station as well. I think unbeknownst to Mr. Drinks, Mr. Stillwell was still in his vehicle, which is the Audi. At some point in time, Mr. Nichols got into his vehicle, the Ford Fusion. Once Mr. Drinks finished his business or finished handling business at that gas station, we know that there is a phone call between occupants of the car that Mr. Stillwell was in and occupants of the car that Mr. Nichols was in. That communication was to the effect of, you need to get on FaceTime. As soon as that conversation ensues, we see Mr. Drinks leave the gas station in his vehicle, and both the car that Mr. Stillwell is driving, as well as the car that Mr. Nichols is driving, both follow out of the gas station, following behind Mr. Drinks. Mr. Drinks proceeds down the street to the light at Windsor, which is right by I-20 in Windsor. Mr. Drinks is in the far left lane. The car involving with Mr. Stillwell pulls up to the middle lane, and Mr. Nichols' vehicle pulls up to the far right lane. This is all captured on surveillance video and surveillance camera. They are at the light for a moment. Then we see both this car with Mr. Stillwell as well as the car with Mr. Nichols drive through a red light, leaving the car with Mr. Drinks sitting at that light. About 30 minutes later, a Good Samaritan sees that car still sitting there, approaches the vehicle, and Mr. Drinks is now deceased inside of that vehicle. We had know through LPR readers that both Mr. Stillwell's vehicle and the car involving Mr. Nichols drive in the direction of 20 westbound and follow in tandem. 2 days later, when after the case is investigated and arrest warrants are taken out, on March 17th, 3 days later, Mr. Nichols is found with Mr. Stillwell at a Chick-fil-A gas station, Chick-fil-A restaurant. There is a chase, I won't call it a high-speed chase, but there is a chase through the city of East Point, and eventually Mr. Nichols as well as Mr. Stillwell are both apprehended after arrest warrants were ultimately taken out for the murder of Mr. Drinks, Your Honor. Given where we are in the case, Your Honor, we know that Mr. Nichols, we do not believe Mr. Nichols was in the vehicle in which the shooting occurred, but he was in this other vehicle. The state has made a decision to move forward with this recommendation for the RICO count, Your Honor, for count one.
Mr. Harvey, are y'all acknowledging a factual basis to the count one, the RICO count?
Okay, we are acknowledging a factual basis. There has already been evidence with regard to the July 3rd, 2017 drug event, the October 23rd, 2018 drug event. We categorically deny and contest any use of violence by Mr. Nichols. We don't agree to that underlying factual basis. We believe those two predicate acts that were committed by Mr. Nichols without any question are sufficient to meet the elements of the offense. The offense to which he's pleaded to, which is a RICO conspiracy. A RICO conspiracy requires proof that the defendant either conspire with another person to violate one of the substantive provisions of RICO, and that would be drug offenses, or personally endeavor, I believe that's what the language of the statute says, to violate one of the substantive provisions.
Well, that's what the language of the statute says, but
Yes.
he is indicted in this indictment with conspiring, not with endeavoring.
That's correct. So we're talking about a conspiracy. We acknowledge the two events that he participated in. We categorically deny any other allegations other than those two events that are sufficient for a factual basis. We categorically deny that we participated in any way in the unfortunate death of Mr. Drinks. We categorically deny any other charges to which we are, substantive charges to which we are not entering a plea, and that includes gang charges. This is a plea solely to a conspiracy to violate the RICO Act. So that, but yes, we acknowledge a factual basis to that extent, Your Honor.
Understood.
You understand? He's saying that all he got is the RICO, all the gangs, all that. He ain't got nothing to do with it.
The factual basis regarding the nature of YSL is that the evidence has shown and will continue to show that Mr. Nichols conspired with others to participate in Young Slime Life through a pattern of racketeering activity, and multiple defendants and unindicted co-conspirators have committed overt acts to further this conspiracy, including drug sales, aggravated assault, and murder, also including social media posts asserting the violent nature of and asserted dominance of Young Slime Life, also known as YSL. And that concludes our factual basis.
And again, once again, we again categorically deny those representations. And again, the only thing that is necessary to meet the factual evidence of a 1614-4C is proof that the defendant conspire with another person to violate one of the substantive provisions of RICO, and that is subsumed by the drug offenses that have already been proven in this case and to which Mr. Nichols has previously pled.
All right, thank you, understood.
And Your Honor, may I approach with the waiver of rights form?
Yes.
He's saying straight up, he ain't got nothing to do with the
Mr. Harvey, have
gang stuff.
you reviewed with Mr. Nichols this plea of guilty and waiver of rights form, which the two of you have both signed?
I have, Judge, in each individual provision in that plea colloquy has been acknowledged and gone over personally with Mr. Nichols.
All right. And Mr. Nichols, have you had sufficient time to consider this guilty plea that has been negotiated between the state and your attorneys, and to discuss anything you wanted to about that with your attorneys?
Yes.
All right. And you understand, I hope, I'm going to ask you, that it is your decision ultimately, obviously with the advice of your attorneys, but it's ultimately up to you individually to decide whether you want to enter this guilty plea or not. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. And you do want to enter this guilty plea?
Yes.
All right. And Mr. Harvey, have you advised Mr. Nichols of the alternatives if he does not ultimately go through with this guilty plea, and the potential benefits and drawbacks of all of the other options?
Yes,
All right.
very thoroughly, Judge.
All right. All right, Mr. Harvey, is there anything that the defense wants to add to the record?
Judge, other than the statement with regard to the underlying factual basis, I would point out for the court that when Mr. Nichols filled out his form, it says 29 plus. He is a birthday boy in a couple of days, and he will be 30. And at 30 years of age, he has a wife. He has got a 13-year-old daughter. He's got a 10-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old son. His wife and sister, I believe, are here in the courtroom to support him. He, Mr. Nichols, was born and raised in Atlanta. And, you know, we're at this point, before I have even given my opening statement in this case.
Yes, sir.
I do want the court to know that Mr. Nichols' mother died in prison. His father was shot by the Atlanta police when he was 4 years old. And he was raised by friends and family in the Atlanta area. So he has come to this point in his life from a very humble beginning, and he has sought the support of friends in this courtroom and others in this courtroom. He is an intelligent young man who I believe has a future. Every day we do a word of the day. We put a new word into a sentence. And I think this is in his best interest. I know that there is, and I know this plea is negotiated, but it's a long downside from 7 to 20. So the courts will have jurisdiction over him for a period of time. So I ask the court, given who this young man is, and given our categorical denial of some of the factual basis, to accept the plea and sentence Mr. Nichols accordingly.
Mr. Nichols, is there anything that you want to say?
All right, you see right here? You see right here? I got to stop it right here. You see that whole part when they went through his childhood, how this happened to that person, that happened to that person, he was raised by that person, that's the result of where he is today. Me, myself, not saying nothing against him or no one else. I was raised straight by the code. And a lot of y'all will call me a fool. And me looking back now, I may even think I was a fool, you know. But I'm telling you now, when I stood in front of that judge, I refused to have my lawyer sit there and grovel about how rough my childhood has been, because to me it wasn't rough. It was just a learning experience. So my lawyer would say, oh no, we got to tell him that, you know, you witnessed this, you got to tell him that this happened, that happened, you got shot, you know, you've been to prison, you got hit in the head by a lock, you got all this stuff. I said, no. He said, no, but all that would help. I said, no. I said, the judge is used to hearing all that crap. Nobody want to hear that crap. You think he care about how I grew up and why I'm standing here as the man I am in front of him? That's not going to help change his mind. This is what I'm telling my lawyer. So I told him straight up, don't say nothing about that crap. You know what I mean? Just tell him, thank him or whatever you want to tell him, but don't go groveling for me. You know what I mean? I told my lawyer, don't go groveling for me. And if y'all don't believe this cocky ish I'm saying, go pull up my transcript, 93 LED, F3rd. You know what I mean? That's where my case is at, 93 LED F3rd. I just gave it to you. But like I said, I told my lawyer, don't kiss his, man, I'm scored at level 48. Either way, I'm getting life. There's nothing he could do but give me life unless I decide to tell. I'm not going to tell, so I'm satisfied and ready to take my life sentence. How many of y'all would do that? Honestly, how many of y'all would do that? How many of y'all would tell your lawyer, nah, don't tell him how hard my life was? You know what I mean? I knew I had life coming no matter how hard my life was. Only thing I could do to help myself back in those days was to cooperate with the government, and I would fall on my sword before I dishonor the oath that I took. And that's where I stand. That don't mean I'm telling no one else to stand there. I'm telling you don't even get involved in the street so you won't even have to be as twisted as you think I am. But where I come from, those are the rules. Maybe that's why Curtis Blow made that joint, these all the breaks. All right, well, these are the rules. You know? You don't tell on your comrade and You don't grovel and you don't kiss anus. You don't do none of that. If you from the street, you from the street. If you bout it, you bout it. I thought I was bout it, and they laid me down for 26 years. And that's why I chose not to go that route no more. So if you can't understand what I'm telling you as a man that stood there, right now, they get ready to ask this man if he got to say anything to the court. That's why I stopped it there. Because they asked me that same question. And like I said, my case number is 93F3D, page 126 to 131. That's where my case is at, so you could look me up, right? When the judge asked me if I had anything to say, I said, Your Honor, can you send me someplace closer to home so I could learn to read and write to further my education so that if one day I'm released, I could go home a better parent and, member of society? This is when he asked if I had anything to say. This is supposed to be the part where I tell him I had a hard life. Everything was so crappy and I was forced into this life of crime. No, I chose this stupid life of crime. And I'm trying to tell y'all, don't choose it. Because then you'll sit here like me, heartless, coldless, no emotion. You lose everything when you choose the street. Because you're going to see so many things and experience so many things, you're going to be immune from it. Somebody tell me how many people is in this joint in the back, man, because I can't get no help. But this is where we at. So you understand. They get ready to ask me if he got anything to say to court. That's what I said to court. Send me someplace closer to home so I can further my education. Prosecutor jumped up, just like they prosecutor get ready to jump up, or what he say. Somebody jumped up and called me a scumbag. He's a scumbag. Even if you let him out 30, 40, 50 years, they'll probably have spaceships and he'll figure out a way to steal them or break the law to do whatever crime they got going on out there. That's what the prosecutor said. He said his life is a waste. He'll always be a waste and he'll die a waste. This is what a man told me. A man told me, right? And I sat there and I listened to this and I'm chained up. And for 26 years, that haunted me to show that man that, nah, you don't dictate my future to tell me I'm going to be a waste. Only I dictate my future to determine if I want to be a waste. But you have nothing to do with my decisions, Mr. Prosecutor. Since I've been home, I went to see that prosecutor, let him know that I was home and I wasn't a waste and I made it from the other side of the wall when he said I was a scumbag and I was never going to leave there. That's how my life has been. How has your life been? That's what I want to know. Now, let's hear what he had to say. Let me know how many people in the back, man. All right, that's where we at.
All right, I find there to be a factual basis for the guilty plea to the RICO count one of the indictment, that being a conspiracy to acquire control or interest in money and personal property through a pattern of racketeering activity. And that is the only count that guilty plea is being entered for. The remaining counts of this indictment as against Mr. Nichols are being null pros by the state as a part of this indictment. I find, having heard the evidence up to the point of trial right now, that there is evidence of at least one overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. And that there is evidence that would fall within the required statute of limitations to establish this RICO conspiracy count. One of the things that we as judges are instructed by our Uniform Superior Court rules to do when we are considering whether to accept a guilty plea and whether to accept a negotiated sentence, and this is a negotiated sentence in this case, is to take into account whether giving leniency in sentencing is going to aid in ensuring promptness and certainty, or at least more promptness and more certainty with regard to corrective measures, whether the defendant, and in this case, the defendant has acknowledged guilt and is accepting responsibility for his guilt of the RICO count, and whether accepting the plea will aid in avoiding further delays, not just with regard to this case, but with regard to the entirety of our system here in Fulton County. And this plea does go towards doing all of those things. I am going to accept the plea as negotiated and sentence in accord with the negotiated recommendation. As I said before, find there to be a factual basis for count 1 of the plea. I find the plea to have been freely, knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily entered into by Mr. Nichols with an understanding of the consequences of doing that. And the sentence on count 1 is the sentence that has been negotiated of 20 years to serve 7, with the balance of those years to be served on probation. And that, I don't know if there are any special conditions attached to this that y'all have talked about at all.
There are no negotiated special conditions in those, so there are none as far as I'm concerned.
All right. Okay. So with regard to the time that you are on probation, you need to stay out of all kinds of criminal trouble. Make this a birthday present to yourself and to your children and to your wife and family, that you will leave from here today and leave whatever you used to do behind you, and take the next few years. You know, you're going to have some years that are still to be served on this. You'll have credit for the time you've already served, but you're still going to be facing some incarceration time. But after that, you are going to be out, and you, I believe, Mr. Harvey is correct, can be a productive member of society, and this is an opportunity for you to do that and for you to put your past behind you, the bad parts of it, and continue and make your children proud of you and set a good example for them, an example that I guess unfortunately you were not lucky enough to have throughout the entirety of your childhood with your parents. I'm sorry about that, but you can be the kind of parent that you ought to be to your children. So I am going to impose that sentence, and I am going to wish you luck and good fortune as you go forth from here. So I think that unless there's anything else from either party, that will conclude these proceedings, and y'all can go ahead and take him into custody. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, so that's where we at, right? Let's bring another picture up here, all right? Because I could do all this. Now, this is where we at, so you understand. This man stood before them to plead guilty. He took a proper plea. He left his co-defendants that decided that they wanted to still pursue the fight, to still have a fight and a bite within the race, by making sure he stipulated and emphasized that YSL ain't no gang. He wasn't involved in no gang activity. He ain't got nothing to do with no gang, nothing. He don't know nothing about no YSL with no gang, so he don't know nothing about no Young Thug and no gang. But he's claiming responsibility for his actions that they said he violated in the RICO. But he said that they wasn't violated on the strength of the of the gang. You understand? Just so you understand where you at. Now, I've been on here long enough, and I hope y'all really understand what is going on and where we're going at with this, right? Because, okay, let me ask you this. Why is he saying yes to everything when he was saying yes to everything? Because he's agreeing to what happened during the course of the RICO that had nothing to do with the YSL or any gang, right? He emphasized that, right? No, he didn't need to name his co-defendants. He didn't need to name anyone, and he didn't name anyone. If you notice, his plea don't have no one's name in it. So when he enters into the prison system and he has to show the dirty South, you know what I mean, or the Atlanta card, depends where you at, his paperwork is clean. But he's going to state, so everywhere it's going to be down there because you already know the rat bastards is ready to say, he's not going to the feds. He's not going to the feds. You know, that's what they do. They just sit back like the plane. You know, oh, unique say. You know what I mean? Like they're all Spanish now or something. You know what I mean? That's where they at. So now, do you believe that all the state is focused on is securing the RICO conviction? Of course, that's all they want. Once they get this RICO conviction secured on these men, even this one, they could put this in their resume when they move up the political ladder to become councilman, mayor, you know, whatever they choose to be, governor, senator. They could say, I prosecuted the YSL RICO case and took those thugs off the street. So that's why you should vote for me and put me in political office. That's what Giuliani did when he took down John Gotti. He used that and ran all the way to the mayor's office in New York. Said, if I could get the mob convicted, I could run the streets of New York. And they went with it. So the answer to the question is yes. Yes, they can. You already know. You know? Now, the other one is the fourth from what? So did she give him less time? Yeah, she gave him less time. She gave him 7 years. The RICO automatically carries 20 years when it's in the state of the feds. So you got to have that max at the end. They can't just give him 7 years or 14 years with 7. That 20 got to be up there. That's how the RICO is written. Because the conspiracy alone is 10 to 20. Then the RICO jumps it to double that, which is 20 whatever. Could you tell me how many people is in the back, please? You know, so that's where we at right now. Somebody put it up there. You know, let me see some of these comments. Let me see what I'm gonna take this down. I want the black screen right now. I want to be up here by myself, so I'm gonna take this down. You know what I mean? So now, right? Oh, I definitely want to thank everybody for tuning in. Hit the subscribe button, you know, hit the the notification button, you know, get the like button. You know, get all that popping up. I still can't find out how many people. Let me see if I could go in the back by my own. Because it's like I can't get no help right here. But I learned to do things on my own. Because that's what mama told me. You know what I mean? That's what mama told me. So now, let me see if I move this over a little bit. All right. Okay, so that's where we at. If anybody got any questions, put your questions in the comments. Let's get these questions popping. If anybody got any questions, let me try and read some of it. I ain't even trying to read nothing yet. I'm just up here performing the show because that's what I like to do. I like to give you all the good content. You know what I mean? Oh, where my man at too? Hold up. Yeah. Oh yeah, I want to thank Omar Ellison. Omar Ellison blessed me with a nice cash app to help me hook up this studio. I appreciate it, Omar. You know, that's what men do in his text. He put for the jewels. You know what I mean? He ain't talking about physical jewels on the neck. He talking about lifetime jewels up here because they priceless. Until y'all understand that, I don't know what to tell you. If y'all got any questions, put in the comments. Let me scroll down to the bottom before I tap out. Been on here long enough. All right. Clarence Banks, what up? Okay, what up? What's going to happen with the co-defendants? Now, the co-defendants still going to go to trial. Yeah, Tina. Giuliani was definitely a clown. He played himself out to the end, you know? Let me see. Okay, Rudy, changed with the corruption. Said, wasn't Rudy charged with corruption? Hell yeah, Rudy got to get these 2 black women that he was talking crap to about the election down there in Georgia, his big New York mansion. Rudy just got hit bad. Yeah, I was in Buffalo. I was, come on, man. I know Sly Green and all that, man. Come on. You know, Big Mac up there. Come on, we all right. Yeah, I mean, definitely been to Buffalo. You know? Oh, yeah, definitely gunshots to the rat bastards. You know? Randall Henshaw, you already know what time it is. You know what I mean? But we've been on here long enough. How long I've been on here? Yeah, that's 50 minutes, man. I don't need to be no more than that. I just been chilling. I enjoyed my day. You know what I mean? Larry Love, good looking Larry Love, you know what I mean? We need guys like you on the corners. Yeah, oh yeah, in West Philly. I ain't got a problem coming down there. I'm in the corners up here in New York, you know, and up here in Jersey. I come down here to Philly. You ain't say nothing. My number's on the screen. You know how to do that. That's what real men do. You know what I mean? Big Phil Speaks. Salute. You already know. Wireless or wellness. Welcome to the Unique Mecca Audio, new TMZ. Rest in peace to the gangster channel. Gunshots. Now, it's always going to be a gangster channel. We're going to report all that TMZ crap, but with a gangster swag. You already know how we do. Come on, son. We still at the Mecca. You know what I mean? You got to change with time. You can't stay stuck where you at. What did Jadakiss say? Come on, Paul. Change your style up and go south, Paul. That's what the South was taking over. If y'all want to sit here and play there, everything's supposed to be a prison story, everything's supposed to be that, you have all the right to start your own channel. With mine, I like to evolve. You know what I mean? I didn't stay the same place I was for 26 years in prison, and I'm not going to stay the same place that I am on YouTube. That's why I sat here. I'm mixing my prison stories with these TMZ type news, if you notice my unique creativity, instead of looking to shoot a gunshot. But thank you, Wellness. Appreciate the gunshot, as always. You know what I mean? Big dog, all right? Okay, spell check went crazy on me. Oh, it said spell check. All right, I got you, Larry Love. All right, free smart. Smirk, you already know. Paris made that same fate for Fanny. Unique is big God in the jungles. Virginia in the building. Where y'all at? Tap in. Somebody tell me where y'all at, man. Where y'all tapping in from? That's what I want to know right now. You know, where y'all tapping in from? Let me go down here. You know what? Let me go down here to a breaking news scene or something. I got all this stuff that I set up, you know, on this joint here. Where my breaking news at? All right. Can't find my breaking news. Hold up, man. Hold up. All right. We go to Jax. We go to this joint. You know, I just wanted to change it up a little bit. But like I said, I appreciate y'all. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification button so you get notified when I drop the videos, because I drop the videos when I feel like dropping the videos, when I have time, because I'm doing this in between my daily life. 2 questions. Have you ever met Mike Tyson? Of course. And do you know Nas? Yeah, Nas used to perform up at Club 2000. Mike Tyson used to be with my man Jamil from up in Edenmore Projects. You know what I mean? Done been there. Louisville, Kentucky. Hold up. I don't think if City Streets TV know. Louisville, Kentucky, that's where, you know, Joe Pratt was at. So it's funny that he mentioned that at that time and put the bullseye. You know, but yeah, I know Mike from driving the big white Lamborghini truck when we had the Toyota Land Cruisers and, you know, stuff like that. Mike broke out with the white on white Lamborghini truck. I sat in that joint on 25th Street, me, him, and Jamel with Dietrich and little Gina from Drew Hamilton, you know, just to give him a flashback. So if he don't remember, he know what I'm saying. Everybody know what I'm saying. I was everywhere, my nigga. That's what happened when, you know, you outside. You know what I mean? So now, if anybody any question, let me know. Where y'all tapping? I see Chi-Town tapping in. Where y'all tapping in from? Brooklyn? That's all I see. Oh man, y'all forgot the number on the screen too. What up?
Unique, what's going on, man?
Ain't nothing doing this live. Yeah, doing this live.
I'm checking you live. Yeah, I'm checking you live, man. I'm checking you live. I just wanted to holler at you, man, and tell you, man, hey, you inspire me, homie. You know, I'm talking about you a real nigga, man, and that's real talk, bro.
How old are you, man? How old are you?
I'm 46.
Oh, you're a baby. Yeah, I'm 60. You still young. You a youngin. You a youngin. You know?
No. But you know what though? Hey, I know that, and that's why I respect you. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. You
Yeah,
know?
man. But yeah, I was just calling. I was calling to holler at you, man. Honestly, man, I'm originally from Mississippi, man. But I'm calling you from Guam, bro. I'm over here overseas, homie. So I just want to tell you, man. You know, I be looking at you all the time. I called you before. I'll be looking at you all the time, man. And you keep on doing what you're doing, man. You know what I mean? I know you did your 26 years and all that stuff there, bro. But hey, man, there's people out here that need to hear your message. So keep it up, man.
I appreciate that, big
Keep it
bro.
up.
You know?
Yeah, man. Let's keep it up, man. I'm telling you, bro. There's people out here that's listening to you. All right, and whether you know it or not, you know, a lot of people are looking at your channel, and we you know what I mean, we listening to you. So keep it up, man. You know what I mean? I'm still a baby. Yeah, I'm still
All right. You know what it is. All right. Hey, y'all could call in. You know the number. What is it? 917-680-9091. 917-680-9091. Let me put it in the chat. Hold up, man. Hold up. See if I know how to do all this. What is that? Let me see. Oh, chat's up here, I think. Man, I don't know how my screen got this damn big for an old man like me. Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know how to do that, Jack. Oh, yeah, I don't even know where they chatted on this. I'm on the joint. I'm so busy. Well, this is what I do. Y'all put in there. You know the number 917-680-9091. All right, there it is up there. 917-600-9091. Larry Love, ain't nothing but love, family. You know what I mean? I see you do your homework. Philly Love, Joey Bernino. There's stories from the old heads of JBM rocking, but I never heard anything if you ask me. You know what I mean? Nah, Joey Molino get his props, man. In the prison, he was a stand-up man. Everybody loved him, was a straight gentleman. And that's what it's about. You know, when you're a man, you just be a gentleman and respect everybody. You understand? So, you know, it is what it is, man. Good looking, live. Like I said, the number on the screen, you know what it is. Anybody want to call in, call in. Let me know now before I tap out. I'm just riding out for the afternoon because the video that I put up earlier, they let it get monetized. And at the end of the joint, they hit it and then said that now there's a copyright on it and I can't get paid for it. So being I ain't get paid for it anyway, I don't care about anybody running over there. So I said, let me go up here and do it live and let the people get to, you know, get to holler at me live and direct. So that's what we doing over here. On my membership channel, make sure you hit the membership channel because you hit the membership channel because I'm going to be putting the videos up over there first. There's going to be videos that they might say that copyright, I'm not going to get paid, and I don't want to give them nothing for nothing. So I just give that to the members only. I got a few of them in the archive. So I'm going to say, you know, I'm going to have a lot of things on the members only pages. So definitely join the members only because I got content with me traveling all over the place. So you can see me actually, you know, from behind this studio and just chilling. Is that understood? Now, let's see where we at with the comments. What is the difference between an informant and a confidential informant? They're both rat bastards. End the story. Stop the games. Good joke, though. You need when you dropping another mixtape. We working on a mixtape now, Code. You already know what it is. You need to get on it. I know you still got that heat. He used to send me the heat back when I was in the joint. Well, what's the other? I gave me act with them too. That's a rat bastard. New Rochelle 707. Okay, I see where they tapping in from. All right. What up, family? Yo. All right. Can't hear him. Call got stuck. You know what I mean? Check. All right. Let me see. What's where's then when? So that's where we at. So y'all see the number up there, 917-680-9091. You know what I mean? Code Red, yeah, definitely give him the boot. Boop. You know how that is. But yeah, homie pled guilty in the YSL trial, but he pled guilty in a way so that Young Thug could keep moving forward. And that's the best part of it, that he could move forward. And him pleading guilty because he feel the 7 years is good enough for him. He like, man, I could do 3 years. Just send me to the state, get this over with. I start over my life. Y'all take that murder charge off me. You know, he feel like he good right now. So he had a good birthday present. But remember, them feds is sneaky, man. I got to keep it to you 100. Them feds is sneaky because they let this whole trial play out so they could get as much information from them as possible so that they could put together a federal RICO. Don't think they're going to let that slide. The way Lil Woody carried him on that stand and the way Monk talked to Miss Love, man, I've never dreamt of seeing nobody doing that in person to no prosecutor. I don't care if it's a black woman prosecutor or a Hungarian prosecutor. You don't go in there and talk crap to a prosecutor. Well, not to no federal prosecutor. I don't know what they do in the States. But you don't go in no courtroom and talk crap to no prosecutor because everybody know the prosecutor's the one that runs the show in there. You know what I mean? So, you know, yeah, definitely cop the book of Ron Harlem. You know what I mean? It's a must read. I wrote that joint every night when I went in. I wrote 2 or 3 chapters a night. The next morning I got up, went and got the little typewriter in the law library, pulled out my little typing paper, my whiteout, you know, and get ready and got to typing up on that joint and wound up typing up the book. Then, you know, about 2 decades later, I wrote that book back in 99 when I first learned to read. Because, see, let's ride. See, when you're my status, it's not anybody you could have a conversation with because the first thing they're going to think is that you faking. That's because they haven't been where you've been, haven't seen what you've seen, or even could phantom what's going on in your life. So everything you say to them, you're bragging, what they say on the internet, glorifying. You know, I say, oh, you're glorifying the crime. No, it's not glorifying. That's just a person's life. You're not glorifying it because you're a plumber and you're talking about plumbing and laying pipe. You know what I mean? So let's stop the games, man. You know, that's where we at. All right, let me see. All right, I see Tracy up there. What up? All right, we definitely know Larry Love. Fish, Fish keep his mouth closed. He never gets caught. There you go. Fact is that you don't do the crime if you can't do the time. We already know how that goes. All right, been up here long enough, man. All right, let me go have me some dinner, something relax. Thank y'all for topping in. You know what I mean? Let's get this thing over, and we're going to do what we got to do. Y'all like my outro? Let me know if you like this outro. Remember, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Hit the notification bell if you're already subscribed. Hit the like button and Cash App on the screen. Make sure you hit the icon and see it was created in 2020. All right.
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Fresh out the can of 26, he back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. An Instagram page and a YouTube you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was wine. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spend a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be horn uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, we got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend a ear. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community ours, so we can give back to the